What's going on, champs and champettes? It's FireMonkey here, and welcome back to another commentary channel YouTube video. Now in today's video, we're talking about the magical world of LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, and now this isn't going to be an actual rated review. The reason why is because personally I don't like looking too critically into the games like this, and I don't want to be like, oh yeah, this game's a 7 out of 10, this game's a 5 out of 10, it's a 1 out of 1, or anything like that, just because I really just enjoy games for the experiences they all have, and they may not all equal up, but in my head when I want to make a review about the thing, I'm like, oh yeah, this game's really fun, I'm enjoying it right now, you know, so I'm not going to do any rating system like that. Instead, I'm just going to tell you guys what I enjoyed and disliked about the game, which firstly, one of the things I really enjoyed was a little bit of a trick that you just watched in the background footage where we were able to actually cheat our way to some of the different Kyber bricks around the island by using C-3PO and a Jedi or Sith and just grabbing up C-3PO, moving them over to the Kyber brick area that they should not be at yet, and just dropping them down. And for some reason, it works super well in a lot of spots, so you can get a lot of different Kyber bricks that you weren't intended to actually obtain by normal means. So it is a very interesting trick, but that's one of the things I really enjoyed. Is it an intended trick? No, of course not. However, they did intend to allow us to use this special ability to move C-3PO over to different areas, so joke's on them because we're just using it to our advantage. Anyways, with that said, let's go ahead and talk about the pros about this game. So firstly, it's a very fun game. There's tons of playtime, there's tons of stuff you can do in it, tons of free roaming stuff, there's tons of characters to unlock, you can find rumors, you can buy rumors, there's just tons of stuff to do that I've put around 16 to 17 hours into the game, maybe even longer. And you know what, I'll check as I talk about this part right here, and as I've done all this, and you know, as I put all this time into the game, I still have only completed 2 different episodes, episode 1, and I do believe it was episode 4 is the other one I completed. Yep, I just checked, I have 23.1 hours, and I've only completed 2 of the episodes out of the multiple that are in there across the entire saga. You know, all of the Star Wars movies have their own episode in the game, so it just makes sense that you'll get a lot of playtime out of this. And now something I will mention is that sure, you could speedrun this, you could get like a quarter of the time. However, if you're like me and you just start like free roaming around a lot trying to find all the Kyber bricks to get upgrades and stuff, you will spend a lot more time on this game than someone who's, you know, trying to beat the game as fast as possible just to get it out of their backlog or something like that. And now to help you actually get through all this playtime, they have tons of little extras and stuff you can get by unlocking those different Kyber bricks that are found around the map, including data cards. Now I don't remember if it's actually called a data card, it's just how I remember it in my head. And how this works is Kyber bricks, you can actually grab all these, collect them up from doing certain objectives in main missions, or you can find them scattered around in different free roam areas. And with these, you're actually able to buy some pretty cool upgrades, like one that will show you literally all the locations of nearby Kyber bricks, another one that will show you, actually no, it wouldn't really show you it, it's an upgrade for the Kyber brick one that will allow you to see all the locations of like unlockable ships, all the locations of breakable objects for, you know, a Kyber brick, all the locations in order to get a, one of those data cards I'm about to talk about, and it's a super cool upgrade. But on top of that, you can also upgrade stuff that allows you to grab studs from further away. You can upgrade stuff so that if you're using like R2-D2, you can go ahead and one of the objectives that you normally have to figure out the right rotations on, you could either just completely skip it, you know, get it done right away, or you can do that main objective for a stud bonus, which at the minimum is 2,500, but increases each time you upgrade that stat. So they have a lot of crazy stuff that you can upgrade, from general upgrades to upgrades specific to different character types, such as, you know, hero, villain, Sith, Jedi, all the different areas you can think about, and it's super useful to actually spend some extra time to grind through and grab all these extra Kyber bricks, because they can just make your experience a little bit more fun. But on top of collecting Kyber bricks in each main free roam area, there's also going to be one of those data cards I mentioned, and these aren't for, you know, any fancy upgrades. However, you can get some useful ones, like once you get one data card, you can use that for one extra upgrade, as long as you have the studs required to purchase it. And the cheapest ones are around like 250,000, the most expensive ones like 100 million, but overall, you can get stuff that upgrades your stud multiplier. So if you want to start getting double studs, you want to get 10 times the studs, you want to get 1,000 times, you can eventually farm up enough of these things that you'll be able to purchase those upgrades in order just to make collecting these studs around the map a lot easier. And then they have a lot of memey ones such as Pew Pew, which replaces all of the gun sounds and all of the lightsaber sounds with human-made voices, you know, pew pew, like that. That's literally what that stuff sounds like, and it's just so stupid that I have it enabled at all times. They also have baguette lightsabers, which allow you to turn literally every lightsaber lightsaber in the game into just bread, and who doesn't want to just sling around a giant piece of bread and break stuff with it, right? So they have a lot of, gimmicky stuff, a lot of just jokey stuff that you can purchase, but in that same category, you can also purchase stuff that just makes the grind a lot easier for completing all the achievements, for grabbing everything there is to potentially grab, and it's just a super nice experience. On top of this, the game doesn't take itself seriously in average LEGO style. So what I mean by this is, a lot of people have actually seen this as a controversial take, they're like, oh, why is this game not 100% accurate to how the Star Wars movies were? And honestly, it's fine that it's not 100% accurate, because what this game does is they take the main gist of what's going on, the main gist of what happened in this episode, and they add their own jokes in it. They add their own gimmicks, their own little bits and pieces that just make it a little bit funnier and more friendly for a kid audience into it, just to make it, that little bit of that LEGO touch. And by doing this, they're actually making the experience a lot better than if you were just to sit down and be like, all right, let's watch a movie, because you're not only getting, a nice little playthroughable campaign, a free roam area and all this stuff, but the cutscenes are super unique to the point where it's not something that you feel like you've seen 1,000 times. It's something that, while you may have seen what the original version of it was, this is LEGO's adaptation that does a lot of funny jokes and gimmicks around with it, because they're just here to have a fun time. They're just here to make a fun experience. And on top of that, there's a lot of unique interactions between characters in the game. One of my favorite ones, I don't know if I have a clip of, but if I do manage to find it, I'll put it in the background footage, is a clip where if you talk as young Anakin to Darth Vader, the young Anakin will be like, wow, that's a cool suit, how can I get one of those? And Darth Vader will literally reply by saying, patience, child, patience. And now, if you've seen Star Wars, which a lot of people most likely have, especially if they're interested in a LEGO Star Wars game, then you know exactly what's going on here. So yeah, they have a lot of very cool gimmicks and a lot of fun stuff to be had. However, there are some issues with the game that I wanted to mention. Firstly, this is a LEGO game, so it's most likely going to have a lot of soft locking issues. And personally, I've experienced 2 different soft locking issues, and they both were in episode 1. I hadn't experienced any in episode 4, but then again, I might not have been doing what I was doing in episode 1 over there. And what it was all caused by is just running ahead of the main objective. Because, the main objective has a lot of walking parts where you have to follow a certain character around to different areas, and your speed will eventually increase past the speed of the person you're following, so you can actually get ahead of them. And then when this happened, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead, they're going to walk up here anyways, I'll just go explore a little bit, come back once they're fully caught up there, and continue a mission. And once I went over to a side room, door closed behind me, and I'm like, okay, well, let me just break everything real quick. I break everything, and I go back to the door to try leaving. The door's locked. Okay, so that's a little bit of an issue, right? So I go further down this little hallway I'm in, and I'm like, oh hey, a door's open. I run right into the door, and then bam, the door closes on me right before I can even get through it or anything, causing me to be soft locked in a side hallway room that I should have been able to go to in around 10 to 20 minutes later in that exact same mission. But because of the doors locking on me, because I went there a little bit early, I'm now just trapped there. I can't do anything except be stuck in this little hallway, and I just sat there. The only way to actually get out of this was to exit out of my save, load my save back up, because it would put me back in the main area, and go from there. And it was a little bit of a tedious task, but at the same time, it's like, okay, that might have been on me, because I was running ahead a little bit more. But another place where running ahead actually gets you in a little bit of a soft lock is in the Darth Maul fight. Now, I had 2 separate issues here I want to mention about. Firstly, one of the issues is not related to the soft lock at all, and what this issue was Darth Maul has an attack where he can kind of try using the Force on you, and you have to spam the B button to try hesitating to make sure that you can break out of it. However, if right when this happens you decide to switch a character in around the same timing, you will have your screen permanently blurred for the rest of that battle, and that B button, that B little tap interaction thing, will permanently show up whenever you go back to the character who was having the Force used on them originally. So it just completely blurs out the game, because you might have just pressed the button to try being like, okay, let me just switch over to my main character so that this person, the NPC on my team in the party, can go ahead and break out of it on their own while I go ahead and attack Darth Maul. And it just doesn't work like that, and causes a huge issue where I ended up playing the whole entire battle through and with a blur like effect going on until I caused the second softlock issue I've experienced. Now the second softlock issue relates to the area where you're running at Darth Maul and they bring up, you know, the electric little like walls that you have to like wait for it to be timed about or anything. Well, there's an area where after you've gone through a few of the electric walls, you have to put these little like battery canisters back on the wall to power the electric thing to turn off on its own. And you actually have enough time where if you're just holding forwards, you can go through that wall like the split second before it fully summons and spawns in. And if you do this for whatever reason, both of the characters will have their targeting system locked on Darth Maul, who is invincible because you're not supposed to be able to attack them yet. And because of them being locked on Darth Maul, you won't be able to use another character who's still behind that electric wall to bring up all the different batteries and put them back into their spots on the wall, basically meaning that, hey, you have an invincible Darth Maul, you can't get past this wall or activate it in any way because your characters are locked onto them, so you're just kind of sat there stuck until you decide to redo the entire battle back from the very beginning of that fight. But then again, it is a LEGO game at the end of the day, and LEGO games are known to have their soft locks. It's just a surprise to see that one made in 2022 is still having a soft locking issue. However, on top of this, something I want to mention is just that it would randomly crash on me. Now, this might not be an issue on Xbox or PlayStation, because you gotta keep in mind, me playing on the PC version, I occasionally have OBS open on another monitor recording the gameplay. I occasionally have Google Chrome open. I occasionally have Discord open. So I have a lot of processes open at once that could, you know, amplify the chance of my game crashing. But something I want to mention is that it would just randomly have a crashing issue. And now, I haven't been able to find, like, you know, an accurate cause for this. It's just happened every so often, and all I really have to do is restart the game. But one very interesting crash that happened to me was when I was using Borderless Gaming. So I used Borderless Gaming to record Binding of Isaac, the Repentance episodes, because by using this software, it allows me to completely hide my Windows taskbar, hide everything, and just have the game in perfect full screen, which helps me with recording. It helps me just with everything without having to enable full screen mode and causing my game to completely freeze on OBS. But whenever I had Borderless Gaming enabled in the background and I launched LEGO Star Wars, the only time I ever did it, you know, I pushed the button on my controller and it wouldn't connect, right? So I'm like, okay, something's going on here. And I tried pushing buttons on my keyboard, you know, I tried looking at other monitors and stuff, and then I realized, for some reason, by having Borderless Gaming enabled, by linking it to LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, I crashed my computer. I crashed my computer to the point where I couldn't touch anything, nothing was working, all my screens were frozen, and the only way to restart my computer was to actually push the button to turn it off and then push the button to turn it back on, because it just completely froze on me. So that's a very weird crashing issue that completely wiped whatever tabs I had open and all that stuff on my computer. So it is something to keep in mind as you go into this game. Overall, however, with those cons aside, this game is a very fun experience, and I'm super happy just to enjoy everything that they have to offer. So if you enjoyed today's YouTube video, consider subscribing and support the content I create, and I'll catch you champs and champettes later with another YouTube video. Peace out.